All right, it's our privilege today to have the Galloways here. Richard and Dixie Galloway are here. They came to this area about 18 years ago. They founded what is called New York City Relief, do a great ministry in the city, and you're going to be blessed through the things that you hear today. You're going to be challenged. Your heart's going to be warmed with God, and you're going to be called to action. That sound all right? All right. Brother Richard, come. Share with us the word of the Lord.
How's that? Well, how'd you know that? If you were answering me, I didn't have it on. You must have heard me. You're tricking me. I have my notes today. It's one page, you'll see. Actually, it's these 25, no, it's one page. That's so I won't get too distracted. I get excited. I start talking about Jesus sometimes and just go all over the place. But we have a table set up out front with a little deal, and I don't have any CDs of me singing or teaching or books that I've written, because I don't sing and I haven't written any books. But you will be able to get a copy of this article from Promise Keepers. I have a friend, he's actually on our board, that's a publisher, a printer, so he printed a whole lot of them. But it's a story about what God did in our lives some 26 years ago, and there's a couple of newsletters called Street Talk, and there's stories of people's lives that were changed right in this area, not from some far-off place. Dixie and I came here, almost 18 years ago. And if you've not heard my story before, it's a story of saved by grace. Because 26 years ago, I probably would have been drunk about this time of day, because this being a long holiday and having done lots of cocaine. I was drinking a quart of tequila a day in 1981 to offset my cocaine, and doing other drugs, and been doing for some 15 years. But I had a mom and a dad and a grandmother, and I say about my mom, she's from Oklahoma, and she didn't have any quitting sense. You know what that is? She didn't quit. Because the more she prayed, the worse I got. You prayed for some people, God save them, and then they get worse, what the heck, But you can't quit, because God is faithful. And His word just doesn't return void. It does what He intends it to do. And so they prayed, and sure enough, my life changed. Dixie and I had started in business in 1970s in California. We had a 7-Eleven store for a year, and then we went to Oklahoma and started Happy Foods, and took a few $1,000s we borrowed. And in 5 years, we were millionaires. We had 3 corporations and 4 partnerships. Lived in a house with 22 rooms on 13 acres, and we had an elevator that went up to the 3rd floor, and had a house in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and Ruidoso, New Mexico, so we could snow ski and water ski, and had 3 airplanes so we could fly back and forth, and Dixie's a pilot. And I had 18 cars at that time. I had 3 Rolls Royces and 8 Porsches, and later I found out, I drive one at a time. But we owned a bank, and so that I didn't get bored in the afternoons, I had a 320-acre cattle ranch. I'd go out and ride around and build fences and do stuff like that, because I was always wanted to be a cowboy, so I got to be one. But I ended up at the end of this time in the 70s, as I came into 80s, and I was in this very miserable condition and really didn't know what to do about it. And because my mom and dad and my grandmother prayed all those years, I came to a place where in my own bedroom, and I asked God to help me, and I got news for you. When you ask God to help you, He will. And He changed my life. He saved me. I didn't get what I deserved. I got life. And I'd tell people if I was God, I wouldn't have saved me, because I wasn't really a very worthwhile guy. But I'm not God, and you're not God, and He saves all who call upon His name. And He saved us, and then after that, we lived in the Caribbean 5 years, and came back to Dallas, Texas for a few years. And in the meantime, we either spent all that money, we lived on it, gave it away, or sowed it in the kingdom of God. So in 1988, when I was praying in Dallas, actually I went to a Bible study with some guys, and the Bible study that day was on Isaiah 58. That's a very dangerous part of the Bible. We're actually going to look there later. But I'll just warn you ahead of time. Because I found out what God wanted and what God cared about, and it changed my life. And we came up here, in 1989 and started New York City Relief without the money. Couldn't write the check. So we started down another road, another adventure with Jesus Christ. And today, from that little bus that we started, first bus, we have 2 buses operating, and to date, they've fed on the streets of New York City around 3 million servings of food, and 100,000 people have been helped with jobs, housing, drug rehabs, whatever they need. And every year, about 4,000 people come out and work with us to make that possible. We're a small organization that we believe we're there to connect, and one of the things I'll talk to you about today, I want to connect you to God. I want to connect people in need. We're mobilizers. We're a place where you can come and do this stuff. So we've had a lot of fun. Our kids have all been with us for a week. Thanksgiving, we have 3 children. 2 of the 3 are pastors, and 6 grandchildren now. Dixie and I have been married, how many years? 41 years? 42? 41. We've been married a long time. I'm 62 this year, so I'm just thankful to be alive every day. You know, it's a testimony to God's grace. The message I'm going to bring you today is about God's, the first and last teachings of Jesus Christ, because I have to think that the first one that he picked out to deliver probably was pretty important, and I believe that the last one before he left is very important. So we're going to look at those. Before I do, I'm going to tell you a little story about Billy Graham, though, because, you know, you all know who he is. He's an important guy. Billy Graham was returning to Charlotte after a speaking engagement. When his plane arrived, a big black limousine pulled up and was there to pick him up and take him to his home. And so he walked up there and he says, you know, he talked to the limo driver. He says, I'm 87 years old and I've never gotten to drive one of these things. And the guy said, well, heck, have at it. Here it is. And so Billy gets in the driver's seat and heads off down the highway. Now, just a little way down the highway, there's a rookie patrol officer, a highway patrol officer, set up his first speed trap. He's there. And so here comes this black limousine through doing 75 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. So he takes off and catches him in a very short distance, and he gets out and goes up to take care of the procedure, you know, to talk to this guy. Well, the window rolls down, and to his surprise, as he looks inside, you know, Billy Graham's driving this car. So he excuses himself, and he goes back to me, and he calls his supervisor, you know, the guy, because he wouldn't know what to do. Or he says he told the supervisor, I know that we're to enforce a law, but I know important people, sometimes there's special circumstances. The guy says, well, he says, I need to know what I should do, the guy said, because this is a very important person. And supervisor asked, is it the governor? He said, no, he's more important than that. He says, well, is it the president? He said, no. He said, apparently he's even more important than that. And the supervisor says, well, then who is it? He says, well, sir, he's got Billy Graham as his chauffeur. I think it might be Jesus Christ. We have 4 generations working at New York City Relief and the Hope Center now. We're based in Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's an immigrant city. My mother answers the phone on Wednesdays. She's 84, and my granddaughter, who's 11, comes down and helps out. My son has planted 4 churches in the last 2 years. 3 are called City Tribe, and one of them is called The Noise, and that's a hip-hop church. Meets on Saturday nights around 11, and we're reaching a whole group of people that I promise you are not coming to your church, and they're not coming to my church. But they're coming there, and God is changing their lives. City Tribe is a church of homeless people, poor people, drug addicts, drug dealers, prostitutes, being redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. The last one they opened in Patterson, which is now operating. Each one of those has a team of around 15, 20 people who are mostly from the suburbs, would you believe it? Doing the work of Jesus Christ, having their lives changed at the same time. So we're excited to be in on it. The poor, I want to start out, as I talk to you about the poor, I have to get past your own issues right away. The guilt and condemnation, the depression that comes from having to think about that, because when you got up today, in fact, when you get up tomorrow, most of you are not going to be thinking, wouldn't it be nice to be poor?